Welcome back, everybody. It's me, Sandra McEwen, and I'm in my studio today doing the colors for this little medallion with Perseus on it. If you watched the previous video, you saw how I placed all of these wires on the silver base, and now it is ready to get some colors attached to it. It's going to be really fun, and you can see the wires are all in place. It's enameled on the reverse and ready to go. And I'm going to do kind of I know this is Crazy Town. This is a very limited palette for me. It's only like, I don't know. And I actually have more colors that I have, on the side in case I want them. But it's going to be, because the black background is going to be so vivid, I'm going to do some really pale washes of purple and blue and gray. So let's get started. Well, I've just been hemming and hawing about where to start, and I had actually started with the horse's body and then completely backtracked and changed my mind. I'm actually going to start with the darker areas of the knight because he is kind of the central figure here. So let us get started. Sorry, Perseus is his name. And I'm going to use kind of like my darkest gray, just this right here. And this is really just going to be the shadows. And we're going to start to kind of pick that out. There's a lot of water already on the piece because I dipped the whole thing in water when I put some enamels down. Maybe I'll show that part of the video, maybe I won't. And then completely backpedaled and decided that it was time. And I've got a brand new brush, which is a little too new. It's not picking up it's great when they get just that amount of frayed brush tips so they pick up the enamels really well. And so you see, I'm just kind of putting these right in the deepest shadows of his armor. Which is just going to hopefully, because we've got this wing which is going to have a lot of really delicate shading, so this will be nice to kind of emphasize this shape right here, because right here is going to be the opaque black, so I think that'll be good. And it's really important with these real tiny areas to make sure there's no air pockets. And you can see I have this really elaborate tool. It is a chopstick that I have put a needle on the tip of, and they sell bigger ones, but I needed one that was really fine. So it's just kind of good when you have real tight spaces to just kind of make sure that there's no little air pockets hanging out in there. And so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I know. Ta-da! Here we go. All right, so we've gotten started, so that's always good. It's always the hardest just to get started. The first step, what is the Hobbit thing? Frodo Baggins. Just put one foot in front of the other. And I'm going to do, this is a slightly lighter gray, but still kind of dark. And I'm just going to do a little bit of shading right underneath. He's got a little purple frill. That's a technical term right there. He's wearing a purple frill. And so this is just going to let that pop a little bit. And also, there we go. And then also, because he's got this plated armor, I'm going to just do a little bit of shading underneath one of these, each one of these plates. And I'm going pretty light. Always can go darker later, but it's harder to go. You can always, it's harder to remove it once you've already fired it. There we go, just to give a little bit of dimension to that piece of armor. And down here as well. That's fine. And now we're gonna go for a little bit lighter gray. Maybe even one hair lighter than that. 88 is pretty darn light. I definitely want him to be darker than the horse, and they're going to be sharing a few of these colors. But so he's not going to have any just plain silver showing because he's going to be just a little darker, but I don't want to get too dark too fast. That's what I was saying. So got his little thing, and this is just the time where you just kind of settle in, just see where it goes. Until you fire it, you can always just rinse it off and start again. And yeah, probably waste a little bit of the enamel, and I'll never get any of that. You notice I'm not saying that about that one enamel that I have less than an ounce of. I'm not going to add that until I am sure. I will be sad when that enamel is gone. It's just, alrighty. He's going to have purple. I think this is going to be light too. That's actually part of his saddle right there. So we're going to move up a little bit and maybe think about his arm. And remember, this is all going to be real black. So whereas this, I don't mind being a little bit darker because it's going to be a good foil for all this light stuff. I'm going to keep his arm lighter so it really pops against the black. So, but that being said, I'm going to get maybe a slightly darker gray. Not sure if he has his gauntlets. I guess they'd probably be made of metal, wouldn't they? Probably. All right, so I'm just where the joints of his armor are, I'm just going to kind of pick out with just a little bit of the dark. Let's see, we've got that'll be light. This definitely wants to be dark right in here. Of course, get some water. And sometimes to get some into these real tiny crevices, which, you know, I do this to myself, but making the tiniest spots, is you got to get some water in there, or the enamels are just going to sit right on top of the wires and not go in, especially for these real tiny little areas. So I've put some water in there. And then hopefully I can just kind of introduce it, and then it goes and just kind of sucks it in, which is exactly what happened. Great. It's actually probably a little too much water. And if you get too much water, it's always a dance. You know, just get a little paper towel and soak some of that up a little bit. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Just gorgeous. All right, a little bit more. A little bit more. Right on the side here. And there's still plenty of water, so it's kind of getting sucked in. Sometimes it doesn't want to go in, but that's all right. And don't worry about getting any enamel in this area. That's all going to be covered with opaque black. So that's why we're going to do the opaque black. There we go, there, going in. After we've done all of these, because it doesn't matter if these bleed in to the where the opaque black is, because it's going to get covered. All right, we're going to put some of this slightly darker one. It's a really pretty, kind of a plum purple. Just right around there. And with such a tiny area, I don't even worry so much about blending, because if you just set the two colors kind of side by side, you know, that's pretty much as much blending as you're going to be able to do. You just don't have a lot of space. And so you want to kind of make the colors work together. Like I wouldn't go much darker with this blending, but I think that's just going to be fine right there. I assume that this is probably some sort of a chainmail thing, and then his helmet. So let's go ahead and do that, because we're going to have to get some little flesh, because of course I have to give him little rosy cheeks. So, and I haven't even gotten that enamel out yet, but we'll get a little bit of rosy cheekedness going on over there. But let's go ahead and do this little bit of the gray. There we go. Just getting a little bit right there for the dark, and I might as well do the helmet at the same time. Probably he's going into the light, so we're going to put the shadow completely arbitrarily right there. It's 4 years of art school to decide. You can just arbitrarily, whatever that word is, pick your shadow, put it on one side, and then we'll put this little guy over there, and a little blob of this. There we go. All right, I'm gonna pause and go get a little bit of enamel for his face, and I will be right back. That right there. I kind of have like a go-to set of colors that I use for pale skin. Let's look at that spot falling off. I kind of use a combination of this really pale tea as my shadow, some sort of a blushy pink. That plays well with silver. Look at how lovely. This is like the barest pink. It's baby pink. And then some clear. That's kind of my go-to for that particular skin tone. That was very exciting. Let's do, and look, I don't even have very much of this stuff. That's all I have, and I'm like, that is more than enough of the very pale tea. And I'm gonna put that, because I have his little nose, so we're going to use that to kind of just right where his second eye is implied, right in there. Maybe one more little bit. And I'm going to get a little bit more water. There we go. Good, good, good. And then a little, look how pretty this is. This pale pink. This is more than I would use in a lifetime. I think we washed it for a class. But he always likes to do the pinks. We're just going to put that where his cheek is going to be. I can see the little blue is running a little bit, but you know what, I'm okay with that. A little bit of that. Maybe one more dollop. I say dollop, but I mean like 3 grains of the pale, right where that blue is. And then I'm just going to really top it off with a little bit of clear. And that I'll have to do a different video with the larger figure, because you can hardly see what's going on. So I will put that on the list. I've got kind of a figurative piece coming up next anyway, so. And this is just a little clear, just to fill in, because you know where we don't want that opaque black? In his face, because it is the lightest part. And so I'm actually going to put a nice healthy dollop of clear in there. Let's see, that's a pretty big dollop. There we go. And voila. Let's see if you can see that face. Let me refocus. Yeah, it's, you know, it's so tiny. Looks great. I think we're going to get started with this horse. We're going to do his armor. That sounds like a good spot to start. And I'm going to do I'm going to start with some of this blue and this old silver, which is a nice gray that's a little bit more on the bluish side. So it'll be a little bit different than the gray that is in the armor. So Probably need a little water in there. Let me get some. We'll start with his rump. And I'm going to start with kind of, got these little circles. So I'm going to actually do the background first. And it's going to kind of start with the silver. Like that. And it's hard to kind of get the enamel right around all these little circles, but again, if you don't want to be doing it, you can do your wires any way that you like. So we'll get that right in there. And I'm going to do, the background is actually going to blend into the blue as well. And then maybe I'm going to do the circles, which, you know, it's an artistic rendering of the horse's armor, which I guess would be probably chainmail. I don't know if Perseus had chainmail. This wouldn't that have been the Bronze Age, but let's just not ask too many questions. This is fantasy here. Yeah, would he have had plate armor made out of, I don't know. It probably would have been bronze. Maybe. You know, I don't know anything about it, so think about it later. All right, and so I've got that little bit of gray there, and I need a little bit of water in this blue, which I've been kind of lazy about. It's been sitting around a bit, so kind of see there's some things floating around in it that I'm just going to work around. So let me just rinse it off. A little bit of water. You can see off camera that's what I've done, just to kind of freshen it up a bit. Yeah, and this is kind of, it's been washed a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of past its prime, but we can get a little bit out of it. So I'm just going to put that right at the top so you can kind of see a little bit of the blue. Will be right here. And of course, now I'm having second thoughts. Maybe I should have done gray to the blue, but you know what? I think this is going to be fine. Well, this has been fired one time, and you can see it is very subtle, but is exactly what I want. Because remember, that background is going to be pitch black, and so any kind of really delicate coloring is really going to pop nicely on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do a second coat of color, and I'm pretty pleased with how things are going, so I'm going to keep it light, and we will just pretty much do exactly the same stuff. I might do a little bit more with these wings, a little bit more picking out of that, but everything else is looking really great, and I'm just going to pretty much do more of the same. And so that being said, let's get started. I may not show every, because it's pretty much exactly what we just did. We're going to do it all over with just a little bit more highlights. So I'm probably going to do a little bit and, touch base when I get to the wings and some other areas that I want to talk about. Anyway, let's get started. Well, we fired it and it looks good. And now we are ready for the exciting part, which is really going to tie it together. We are going to put our first coat of our opaque black background in. And it's just a matter of being really careful to get it where it wants to be, which is in the background, and not get it where it doesn't want to be. Well, it definitely wants to be here, but we don't want it to be in here. So it's just a matter of being real careful, and let us get started. And also, you can go pretty much as thick as you want with the opaque black, because it doesn't matter, it's going to be opaque black, so you don't have to really worry too much about cloudiness or any other issues that you might have doing a too thick coat of clear. I think the caveat, I guess, would be make sure that if you are going thick, that it's going all the way down into all the little crevasses, and you don't get any ear pockets. So let's do it. Well, I have fired it and everything looks really good. And now pretty much it is, let me see if I can zoom in on that. There we go. Now really it's just a matter of kind of alternating. We'll add in more clear here and adding more black until we get to the top. And my experience tells me that I need 2 more coats of clear up here and 2 more coats of black here, because I'm putting the black on a little bit thicker. And what I'm going to do is you can totally do them alternating, a black, a clear, a black, a clear. Do some clears, do some blacks, or you could do them all at once if you're feeling bold. I'm going to go ahead and do clear and black all in one thing, and then hopefully it'll just be 2 more firings instead of 4. Not that it makes that much difference, and we're going to evaluate after that to see if we need to add any more. But you know, every piece is a little bit different. So I'm going to do that, and I will touch base. I don't think you need to see me add another layer of clear, but I'll kind of touch base after I've added the layer of clear and then the black, and you know, we will. Well, and here it is. It has how many coats of black? I think we did 3 coats of black, and then 2 coats of color, and then another 3 coats of clear. And you can see that it is all good. It's almost entirely up to, when I run my finger over it, I feel the wires, but they're not really sticking out at all. And so this is ready to be ground and polished. I think it's going to be really beautiful. So anyway, that is pretty much the end of this video, because I'm going to do a next video, which I know you're very excited about. We will grind this and polish it and do all the finishing work on this piece, and it's going to be fun. So join us for part 3 of our Perseus series.